to Out of the Box with Christine, the podcast for conscious entrepreneurs. Are you willing to step into your greatness? Are you ready to shine? Well, get ready, Truth Seeker. You're in for an amazing ride. And now, here's the host of the show, Christine Blasdale.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Out of the Box with Christine. I'm your host, Christine Blasdale. And are you in for a treat today? My guest is Tracy Lamourie, and she is an international award-winning publicist featured in Rolling Stone, NBC, CBC, Huffington Post, Authority Magazine's Inspirational Woman of Hollywood series, and other media around the world. She is also the founder and managing director of Lamourie Media Incorporated. Tracy, thank you so much for being a guest today.
Thank you so much, all the way in Australia.
You know what? Your energy matches mine. I finally found somebody.
And I'm at 8 p.m. You're at 10 a.m. And we're like, you know, it's a good time for both of us. I'm in the middle of my work day. You're just starting up, right? So
well, and I had to have you on the show because, you know, Out of the Box is really, and it was created with the intention to address entrepreneurs, people in business who come from a heart-centered space. So that's why it's the podcast for conscious entrepreneurs. And, you know, one big thing about entrepreneurs, conscious or not, one of the things that we deal with is many times it's the imposter syndrome. And a lot of times it's, we don't know how to market or brand or do publicity on ourselves. And we're good about telling, you know, praising other people's
story, yeah,
right? But we're horrible. We're horrible at knowing how to market ourselves. And so I wanted to have you on today and talk about, first of all, how you got in this business, and also what you're seeing right now in the world of entrepreneurship, and of course doing that conscious publicity that you're brilliant at.
Oh, thank you. And I love that intro. I'm talking about me and how I got into it and all that stuff later, because it is kind of an interesting story that shows you that you can do things that people might not think you can do. But other than that, more importantly, talking about the power women that I work with, and men too, and women and people across industries. But I've actually kind of, without meaning to, built this little power women niche since I've been winning all these awards. People started calling me that, so they started asking, well, what's a power woman, and what is my answer? We all are, really, whether it all depends what you're looking at. We may not feel like we are. And some of us, even who are super, some of my clients who have, accomplishments a mile long, like some of your listeners, are superpower. They don't think of themselves that way. And if I was to ask, well, why aren't you being, interviewed in the media about what you do? Often they'd be like, well, why me? I'm just that. And you see that a lot. You feel like you're just this, and all the people that you see on stages or on TV or whatever are somehow different or special, and they're not. They just had a publicist, or they knew how to get themselves out there and put themselves out there. So, these things I know, like, for example, the award thing, I got that. It's a very prestigious national award sponsored by Post Media, one of our national newspapers. And I'd never heard of it. It's been around for 3 or 4 years, and it's, big, with awarded women across industries. I never heard of it till I was nominated, and not until I was in the circles where someone saw my work and nominated me. And the first thing I did is I looked to see what it took to qualify. And I'm like, wow, I got some power women for you. And I literally nominated like 18 women that all qualified. Ended up 2 of them won. And that's a big national award with like hundreds of nominees. I won, and 2 of them won, and that's among hundreds. But I mean, just goes to show, none of us, my point is that none of us knew about that. So we weren't in that mix. And most people listening to it aren't in that mix where their work isn't being rewarded or seen in the same way, at least not on a global scale, where they're being called thought leaders, or they're getting awards, or they're being, asked questions in the media. But it really is just first about believing in yourself and realizing, if you're taking money for what you do, you're an expert. If you're, think about it that way, you are an expert, or you wouldn't be telling people to pay you for what you do. You're good at it. So take that same confidence.
You said something that was actually really key. And I think this also is the fuel behind your success, is that not only was it enough that it was great that you got nominated, but you shared the wealth. And instead of having that mindset of it's just me and I'm going to be this, I'm going to run and I'm going to be nominated. You're like, oh my gosh, this is such great news. I want to share that with other people. And so you took your ego, took a back seat and said, let's uplift everybody and look at the results of that. But that energy that you have, I got goosebumps right now, all down my spine.
I never even thought about it like that, about ego, but like
it's
true.
true.
Like generally, I'm like, I know I'm doing well right now because I've been working really hard. I'm proud of that. So I'm proud of that. So I'll say that. And any door that opens for me or any door that I push open, yeah, for sure, I push it open wider to bring the other people with me that, deserve it.
But that is key. That is something that is, and it's not even something, it's so natural to you. So it's not a thing of saying, well, I'm going to do this because I know I'll be rewarded by the universe. It just comes from you naturally. And this is
I guess that's what happened, because that's what happened. If you look back at my origin story, I learned to write a press release to help. I was a young activist in sales, just doing sales. Me and my husband, Dave Parkinson, and if you put in the show notes, put him in too, because it was the two of us that did that, Dave Parkinson. And I met him, at an activist radio show. We both were like, we didn't have the show anymore. It was college radio. It was the early days of the internet. We were just like, what can we do to still have a voice? Making just this, he learned how to make one of those little Netscape pages. And later I learned to write a press release. But the reason I did that was because we learned about the case of a man in Philadelphia, factually innocent, was on death row that nobody was paying attention to. And we were 28, you still think you can change the world. And I've been proven that you can, right? But we'd been thinking that we were journalists from the radio show. So we were in that information gathering. So we were like, how innocent can this guy be? And for some reason, we actually wrote a letter. We wrote a letter, and he wrote back with all this documentation, 28 pages on both sides. And what do you do with that now that someone has spent all that time and obviously seen you as some ray of hope? Do you just go, oh, that was a great read? We didn't know what to do. We didn't have any money. We certainly weren't publicists. We weren't lawyers. But we thought if we use our voices and this interwebs platform, maybe somebody who can do more than we can do can help. And ultimately, that's what happened. But along the way, we learned to write a press release, and we started talking about the greater issues around the death penalty that we learned about as a result of that case. A Black man in Pennsylvania opened up the whole prison industrial complex and what the prison justice system is and all that inequality. And we take hours and a different show to go there. But that shocked us as young actors. We were like, blah, blah, blah. They called us the feisty Canadians. We were on TV, on CNN, on MSNBC, on Court TV. And that was in our late 20s with no legal experience, no media. And it was still 10 years later before I thought, wait a minute, at 41, years in sales, I could, and ultimately Jimmy Dennis was released. Yay, we won. Now I can say, look at him up on all streaming platforms. He's a musician. I don't have to beg you to help save his life. Done. Nice after 20 years. But I mean, that's what brought me to this. And then I learned, I thought at 41, wait a minute, I could monetize, not that work, but because I never even spoke about that work for years until I had my own profile in this. And then people started asking, well, how did you do this? How did you get there? And I said, well, I had a light bulb moment realizing I could use things that I'd learned in my passions in stuff I'd done. And then somebody said, well, at 41, I'll build a business out of this. And that's what I started to do. And then I didn't go to school for any of this. In fact, I've never been to university for anything. And I just literally, I'm proud to be completely self-taught. And now I've done a couple of speaking engagements, keynote in front of university classes of PR students. And now I've been asked to teach every week to like young publicists, to teach them how to do PR for startups, which I'm like, that's so easy. Let me tell you the first 5 things, they're all. And I learned all this myself. So, I mean, I didn't even learn it. I didn't read a book. I just thought, well, what would I do if this was me? And I wanted to, and now that I know about those awards, I look widely and I find all those things to make the people shine.
Wow.
And I talk a lot.
You are fast too. You are so fast. I can keep up with you.
Tracy tip, listeners, just what you can do with podcasts. You can actually slow it down by half.
Yeah, but I'll sound like I'm really slow.
You know how I learned that? I swear to God, people, I listen to podcasts on 1.5. To me, that's my speed. I'm like, Keep
But
it going.
I love your origin story because because there's so many different things as well.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, but I like it because also you took something that you were passionate about, and this is what I encourage, all my clients, the people that I work with on creating their own podcast or creating a YouTube channel, doing a vodcast, right? I say too, take your passion, don't worry about the hows. Don't worry about how you're going to be successful or how you're going to make money. Just do it. I guess that Nike ad was, very smart. Just do it.
Yeah.
And you just put yourself into it, and then all these rewards, all these lovely things come to you,
Exactly.
right?
And
it's
it's
also having,
you know how they always say, and I hate this. I do not believe in fake it till you make it. I hate that.
yeah,
But I get what they're saying. But you know what I like? And I get this from the Rocky Horror Picture Show. This is what I say. I always say, just do it. Then I'm like, no, wait. Let me quote the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Don't dream it, be it. So it's not
yes,
fake it till you make it. It's stop dreaming, take the first step. Guess what? You're doing it. Now, I don't dream. One day I want to be an author. One day I want to just start writing. Guess what? Now you're an author. And
yes,
then, you know what I mean? And then start showing the world, and that's what you are. And that's it.
I
Don't dream about it.
I
Be it.
wholeheartedly agree with you. Exactly. And also
Great
see
business advice. You should see the looks I get on some business podcasts when they ask me for like business advice, and I'm like, let me tell you from the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And they're like,
what? There's no formula?
it's from the scene when Frankenfurter's lying in a pool. Now go on to a little business lesson, and but it's a great line, right? Like I always thought, yeah, it's not because like I get what they're saying when they say, fake it till you make it. They're trying to say to people, don't sit on your ass.
Well, also when you use that term, fake it till you make
but
it,
I don't like that because
then you're insinuating and you're putting out into the universe, you're faking something.
Exactly. I'm always all about genuine and authenticity, and that's why I don't like that. So I get what they're trying to say. They're trying to say, don't sit around and wait till you think you've made it before you go and never press this. But yeah, you don't have to fake anything. Just go and just do it, as Nike said, or as Frankenfurter said.
The one of the aspects of what you do. So you, in addition to getting your clients the attention that they need, because listen, social media, you go on social media, even in podcast land, right? There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people trying to get your attention, buy this, buy that, blah, 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 blah. But one thing that you specialize in, and I love this, is that you show people how they can be elevated as a thought leader. And this is something that appeals to me on so many different levels. But instead of just saying, having that energy of, I need a sale, I need to work harder, all of that, you like to reframe it, so to speak. You reframe your clients so that it's not just about them selling themselves as a brand, but also elevating themselves to a different level. You want to talk about that just a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I didn't invent the term thought leader. I didn't like it at first, but there's no other people use it. There's no other really way to explain what you mean. What you mean is essentially, like a little celebrity in their field, where they're speaking in their industry and also outside of their industry about their industry. When you Google their name, like when you Google my name, I'm Turbo Tracy, because I'm publicist myself. I know how to do this, and I've been speaking a lot lately about this. So you see 200 interviews, but you don't need to see 200 like you do with me. But when one of my clients, for example, said to me, "You've changed my business in my life," because she's a awesome female founder, a startup founder that was going through for her funding, and she had got some pre-seed funding, but they were going for their big money funding, and all of a sudden she found that it was difficult, which something she hadn't expected. She's a power woman like me, never expected to have doors in her way. Didn't believe in that, you know what I mean? Almost embarrassed to say that as a woman. She was still finding a challenge in the boardrooms, with the financiers. All of a sudden they're talking to her, the junior guy she hired for real. She's like, I can't even believe I'm telling the story, because like, but when it came to the big money, dropping. So what we did is, we had, and it's funny because the men all told me the press release was too feminist, and my client almost felt like, oh, and then I said, at 2 a.m, and I was like, you second guess yourself something, did I put too much of my own opinion in there? As a, maybe let me go reread it. I'm having a bath at 2 a.m, and all it was just presenting her as the strong woman founder. There was nothing feminist about it. But I'm like, hearing that, I'm like, okay, well, let me go and reread it. And this is the woman saying to me, oh, the partners are this. And I'm like, she's a new client. She's kind of, I know she's not even so sure with this PR thing. We're not friends. And it's bugging me at 2 a.m. I'm like, there's nothing feminine. Like, number one, like feminist is a bad thing. But number two, I get it if they thought it was too political or because they're trying to get fun. I get it. They have different. So I'm like, let me go look at it thinking in that frame of mind. Even going in thinking in the frame of mind that would have been semi-acceptable of theirs, I'm like, you know what? I called her and I said, I'm sorry, I've got to say, you're the client. Like, if you want to change the press release, you can. But I'm telling you, because she loved it at first, right? And she still loved it. I said, I think I still like it. I stand behind it. It's not to anything. What's happening is the men that are standing in your way are literally challenged by it. There's nothing feminist about it. Where's feminist? I go, this is literally just talking about a strong woman founder.
Mic drop.
And I'm like, you put it out. And number two, it's in an industry in cannabis, which is now where, even though in our country, which women have been founding the, pushing for the legalization and getting us to where we are today, where we're legal coast to coast. But shockingly, the numbers came out in the corporate boardrooms, because now corporate boardrooms are like the old lawyers and doctors and candlestick makers coming where the money is. 97% white and male. Both of those are like, whoa, 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 whoa. And both equally shocking. And so I said, no, there's actually been conversation about that. So exactly right. We put this out, talk about a strong woman founder. And if they don't like it, you don't want those investors. That's
no, you don't, because they're going to tell you what to do. No.
And she right away, she needed to hear that. Right away, she's like, you know what, you're right. You put it out. We put it out. Sure enough, she got all kinds of media, international media calling her an innovator. And, she got an award, and we put up for an award in her industry out of the UK. And she got it. Then all of a sudden, she said to me, you changed my business and my life in like 6 weeks, because they got 4 articles and 2 interviews. And now when people go to search, who is this person asking for my money? Instead of just seeing, because everybody can create a beautiful web page and a nice marketing deck and great social media. But when I go and look at that as a media person, I'm like, all right, that's great. You got a great marketing and graphics design guy, so you got deep pockets. But there's nothing that tells me everything there is by you, about you. What I do for my clients is I make a third-party gravitas.
You hit on something that when I coach my clients, I always tell them, I say, well, first of all, don't you tell people how great you are. Have other people say how great you are. Number one. Number two, with testimonials, or if you have it on your website or your social media, testimonials and reviews are great. And it's fabulous if you have a picture of somebody and then their quote. But I said the innate, the person who's looking at that will immediately say, yeah, but that could be made up. And I said the best thing that you can do is actually ask that person to do a video testimonial for you. And
that's smart. Yeah.
When you do that, first of all, when you do that, the client or the person who worked with you feels honored. And you also say, I'll put whatever you want me to say, your name, an author of this book, or CEO of blah, 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 blah. And that's publicity for them. And then I said, because then the public will see their eyes when they talk about you and how they light up.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. That's a great idea. I'm going to.
You can have that if you want. Yeah, I'll give that to you.
Suggest that to some of my clients for their, when they're doing their, that's a great idea. When they don't have a lot of, if you don't have that backup, that's brilliant, man. That's really good.
Thank you. Well,
you.
Like I said, it's yours.
Sale taught me.
But it's true, because then I just posted a couple testimonials from people that I've worked with, and I was almost embarrassed. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, they love me. Like, really?
Right? Yeah.
It's like, if I didn't know me, I'd want to sign up for one of my courses.
Oh, I know. Like, now I've got like 25, and they're just written. They could be made up, but they're just. But like all those kind of things. You read those things, and you're like, people say, you're like, stuff you would never say about yourself, Well,
we're visual creatures as well. There's so much text that you can read. We are visual creatures. And so to see a video and keep it short, again, there's another tip. Right? Keep it short. Don't let it go on and on and on, because people are going to get bored. But it's so
that
true.
Personal connection that makes so much sense. Same reason why I say it's valuable to do podcasts, no matter how scheduled you are or how busy you are, or if you don't need to help, because it's true. Then people can see what you do, they can hear what you do, they can decide if they want to work with you, if they want to have you speak, if they want to, they can really, it's that personal connection. right? And people like to work with people they like. They like to work with people they connect with. And that's why you should be another reason you should be genuine. Number one, you should be genuine, period. It's good business, it's good personal, it's always good. But even I've learned from being genuine, being super genuine, being the crazy red-haired girl, whatever, being, open about cannabis before it was legal, being whatever, but also being a hard worker who continues to rack up successes and smart and strategic, that I've been, nothing has stood in my way. I've always been myself, even on things like I have never hidden things if they might have been controversial, they might, whatever. That's, you want to talk about it, let's talk about it. I'm a smart centered person. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not, like, I'll listen to you, you know what I'm saying? I'm not like, I don't, I'm not worried about that. I don't hear from the people who don't like me. You know what I mean? Like, I hear from the people who resonate with me, who want to work with me. Those are the people who come to me. The people that look at me somewhere or listen to me and say, oh, I don't like what she said about the death penalty there, or I don't like the red hair, or, whatever it is, then they're not going to call me. Then I'm not going to get their business, and that's fine.
They can go bye-bye.
That's great. I don't need their business because, yeah, exactly. We wouldn't resonate anyway.
Yeah.
And, bye. So
I like to think of it this way. I like to also with clients, I like to interview them to see if they're a fit for me.
Oh yeah, they don't know you're doing that always, but for sure I'm doing that all the time.
Because there's some people that, it's like, oh no, this person is not. So I'll jack up my rate. Like, so.
Yes. I've had 2 this year where I literally was like, I get off the phone and I'm like, Dave, not only am I not taking that client, I'm like, what was like an internet company? So I know they know how to use Google. Okay. I'm like, if they Googled me and saw even like one thing about me, I was like, what would make them think I would be the publicist for that? And then Dave's like, oh, you know what? I bet they just think, oh, everything's about money. Oh, this is successful. You know what I mean? Oh,
yeah.
And I'm like, no, but they're talking about, they want this guy to run, like, it's, no, I'm still disturbed. Like, I'm disturbed that you would even approach me with that election question. You're like, just, oh my God, these people working in Florida or something. At first, they were just some nice couple with a bunch of clients. They didn't tell me who the clients were. And the first client was some commercial thing. So I did some written up thing for them, sure, whatever. And then they're like, oh, we're going to have a whole bunch of new work. This is before the election. So we're going to have a whole bunch of new work coming in. And all of a sudden, we're like our third call. And finally, they're all excited. They're telling me like they've got some contract. Oh my God. I'm still like, look at me. They've got some.
Well, you also have principles. You also have standards and principles.
Oh, and yeah. I'm like, I feel dirty just talking about it. They had a contract, and it would have been a big money contract, but I was still like, I'm shot between laughing and offended. I'm between offended and hysterical if they would ask me. Because they had a contract with like, I don't want to say every, but with a shitload of
conservatives,
of Republican, whoever, like Republicans in like every state, hardcore in the middle of Trump, like pro-Trump, and then in the middle of this time, I'm still like in shock, like I'm still like, wait, what? I'm literally like, then they started telling me, oh, we're probably going to meet the president, and I'm just like, okay. I don't think I'm your girl. I really don't.
You're like, I'll skip that. It's okay. Really, no, it's okay. Well, that's also
say good luck with that.
That's also having the integrity, because no matter how much money is waved in front of your face, when you know that is going to literally rip your soul out of your body.
Yeah.
To do
How can I look at myself in the mirror? How can I look at anybody I've ever met in the last 40 years of my life? No, like it wasn't even tempting for a second. And that was probably a big, big, big money thing. Like, but no, like, I would take that money and then do what? Go off to some like island and never talk to anybody ever again because I couldn't look them in the eye.
You'd have an early retirement
with no mirrors and a shitload of alcohol, and I just drink so much to forget it until my liver died. No, it's not going to happen.
But
anyway,
then you
would be laughing till I cried thinking about this. But that's what I mean. It was so funny. I was literally like, did they not Google me? Like, why? What on God's earth would give you the idea that I know you just see a successful publicist, but no, that would not be good. Dave's like, these people are like, you should just take their money and like do a bad job. But number one, I don't know how to do a bad job.
That's
So,
why
I could just take their money, but then I'd be one of them. Maybe I should've taken their money.
many years ago, there was when I was in radio, there was a guest that I had on the show, and I didn't realize where they were going necessarily, but basically they said that they escaped Scientology. And I
People
said,
really
"Oh,
thought that.
you did," and then they explained why and all that stuff, and I said, "Oh, that's okay, that's good." And
You're on live radio?
for weeks, those people were trying to contact me and saying, come to the Celebrity Center.
No.
And we wanna-
In
we
LA
wanna-
too? Oh,
and
no.
I was like, "No, I'm busy. I can't." No,
Oh my God.
no, I'm busy. I'm really busy. And
Thanks.
and let's just leave it there, shall we?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be stalked again.
No, anyway, but that's a funny story, and I mean, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I'm just saying, like, well, I don't mind, actually, I should say, I really don't mind offending people that I find, like, who say offensive and rude things, and during the last election, it was, pretty, but I'm also trying to, like, tone down the rhetoric so people can hear each other and get away from that, like, insane division, because I don't know where it's going if somebody doesn't start going, okay, guys, settle down and start talking, because otherwise, like, it's gone about,
Well, what most people don't realize is that both the left and the right are controlled by beings that we don't even see. So it's
and I've learned at 51, I started to say, and I'm a long-time lefty, if you don't know already.
yeah.
But I mean, I started to say, like, I've started to really be a bird. Those are false, like you're saying, kind of false constructs. And so the older I get, the more I want to talk issue by issue, because I've seen, like, it becomes just my identity is I'm on the left. What am I supposed to think now? My
Yes.
identity is I'm on the right. What is the crowd telling me? And now it's become so weird, like it's just gotten weird, like it hasn't gotten better in the 30 years that I've been an outspoken activist. So at some point we've got to, like, other beyond just beyond like taking bricks and banging each other over the head with bricks with slogans on it. That's our next step, unless we're doing something a little differently. I don't know what the answer is, because I'm not one to sit down with some of these characters.
Well, I think the answer is
hard.
creating more consciousness and having people, like yourself with integrity, getting out there and getting the exposure and the publicity that you need, and doing good things and saying, what the story is that this win at all costs mentality is literally destroying us.
Yeah.
And it's like a team, you'd see those soccer games, those soccer matches where they beat the crap out of each other
It's
over a
like
soccer match.
Yeah, but that's how politics has become now. It's not even, it's even beyond, like it's literally like my team. It's just not, it's weird. And then America's times 10. I don't know the Australian situation, but I mean, Canada, like we see the rhetoric has been raised on everywhere, and because we see it all on TV, we see it all. We soak that.
Well, Australians are a little bit calmer. Maybe it's the Vegemite. I don't know, but it's.
Are you eating Vegemite now?
I hate Vegemite.
Of course you do, because you're not an Australian, right? It's gross.
It's gross. It's
I'm
salty.
sorry to all the Australians. Now they're going to write us letters.
Yeah, no, I have no problem saying it. Vegemite is salty and bitter, and
they talk about it like it's going to be great. I was backpacking through Europe, and every Australian you met was when I was 21. They all are like, oh, I've got my Vegemite. They all carry it. Like they're obsessed with it. Every single one had it in their backpack. And then they're all like, would you like some? And so finally you're like, well, it must be awesome. I mean, like, they can't live without it. And then you try, you're like, what did you just feed me? No.
It's like axle grease, and it's so salty and bitter.
Why?
I can't. They're like, oh, it's great on white bread. I'm like, why would you? Oh, I don't even like white bread.
No, it's not. Does your wife like it?
Yeah, well, because she said when you're a kid, they give it to you. They give you sandwiches.
Why?
I don't know. And it was really cute because in the beginning of our relationship, when I'd come here, she would videotape me. We would videotape me tasting it, different times, and I kept trying and it was just like,
surely there must be something to like here. Nope.
Oh no! People who have tried, especially Americans who have tried Vegemite, are all agreeing right now. They're all nodding their head. That's right.
And I'm Canadian. I'm with you.
I love Canadians. Oh, you guys are so awesome.
I wanted to like it.
Tracy, because we're going to wrap this show up in just a little bit, but before we do, I wanted to to give you the opportunity, if you can, to maybe give some tips to our wonderful listeners if they have their own business or service, if they're a coach or consultant, just some quick tips on publicity do's and maybe some don'ts.
Absolutely.
Just right off, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but if you can do some of that,
I got some good stuff.
that'd be awesome. Thank you.
So number one to think of before, I'm going to give you a couple things while you're writing it in your pen or getting to write this down. But first think, you understand yourself as being there when it comes to media. They're not there to give you a free ad, and you need to approach them. It's not advertorial, it's editorial. So the big thing to remember is the difference between editorial and advertorial. What that means, advertorial is what you're used to, talking about your product, we're the best, our sales, blah, blah, blah. Editorial is where you have to understand yourself as a source with information. So think about what you might expect to read, like in a newspaper article, because you're that person that will be quoting. Blah, blah, blah says Bob of Bob's, whatever. So here's some ways to do it. So go to, this is free. Everybody should know this. Help a reporter out. If you don't already know Harrow, check it out. And there's Source Bottle there where you are in Australia, which is similar. Those are free. That'll give you an idea. I call those the opposite of a press release. And those will give you an idea. If you go and look at those every single day, there's 3 different lists that come in every day, hundreds of media requests from places like Reader's Digest, The New Yorker, NBC. These are the ones that I've gotten my clients in using those. NBC, Oprah.com, the list goes on. And basically there you'll see things like with a deadline of Sunday at 7, Reader's Digest. I'm doing an article for Reader's Digest that's looking for comments from entrepreneurs. A lot of them are coaches, actually. Mindset tips from coaches or therapists about how people got through COVID, or mindset tips about 5 ways that you can make your life better, things like that. If you look at that, honestly, challenging you for a day or 2, you'll be like, whoa, media is looking for things. I can answer that. So you can start to answer that. But again, remember the editorial versus advertorial, and they're not looking for articles. They're not asking you to write the article. They're looking for you to be quoted in the article. So at most, a paragraph or 2, that's its succinct answer. And then if they want more, they will ask you for more. They'll say, hey, can we do an interview, or can you send me more? But what they're just, so you're not getting tied up in writing an essay. I've literally had people do that, right? You literally want 1 or 2 paragraphs, send it with your little pitch, which is your about me, which is not a resume, and it's not everything on your website, but it's a quick little thing. Use words like compelling is compelling guest, can do a compelling segment on blah, 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 knowledgeable, but talk about what you do, why you're the person to answer that. So have that little pitch, which is a general pitch about you prepared, and then go through the Harrow every day. Oh, I can answer that. Don't get too caught up in it. And all they're looking for is your perspective. Though sometimes they want it quote ready. So you got to make sure it's written properly. Don't just say, never just say, hey, I can answer that. There's nothing they hate more. Actually answer it in there. Give them an idea, only for a paragraph or 2 of your perspective. They'll ask you more. Boom, you're in Reader's Digest. Boom, you're in. I had one client, a life coach, 26 years old, my favorite story, 26-year-old life coach, 0 media. Her history was successful, learning to be successful in spite of bipolar. So she thought when she set up her business, if I can share that I've lived through this kind of thing, people will take me more seriously as a life coach. They'll understand that I have things of value that I've dealt with and I can deal with. She wanted to share that story. She literally hired me. I gave her a really good deal because she was 26 and just young, and really good story. And the next day I was looking through the Harrow, and I literally found Good Housekeeping was looking to speak to women between 25 and 40 to share their story about mental health. They loved her. I got her in right before the deadline. They loved her. They phoned her and did a long interview. Her first media out of the gate was the print issue of Good Housekeeping, which is literally on every drugstore counter in the world. The first time ever I was actually at a drugstore counter, and there it was, I am not my mental illness. Her picture wasn't on the cover, but the headline was on the cover. And for the next 2 years, she still hires me, one individual person every single month. Because for the next 2 years, all we have to say for all these media opportunities, as seen in Good Housekeeping, I am not my mental illness. Now she's in WebMD, she's in this, she's in that. I don't know how much she's built her business, but clearly she can afford to keep, hiring a little bit of money every month to keep on doing more. So obviously there's a good ROI 2 years later, right? So
I love that. So you know what I'll do is I'll make sure that I'll include the link to help a reporter out.
Yeah, they're gold. And Source Bottle is the Australian one.
Source Bottle?
Yeah, weird. I don't know why. Source Bottle, all one word.
It's the Vegemite.
Yeah. And for that one, there's about 35% of, stuff is US. So it's not just, Australian centric. It's
all
international.
right. So I'll put those links in. And also we'll make sure that we put a link to your website, because you have something you'd like to drop on our wonderful listeners and viewers as well.
Oh,
right?
My gift.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, if you want to hear more, this is actually, I'll sit down and how I like to talk. Well, you can actually, call me up and say that you heard me on this show, and I'm happy to do a 30-minute free consult. We'll book and schedule a free consult. Probably won't be till after August 9th, because I'm going away to see my mother on the east coast of Quebec, where I've never been by the ocean. But after August 9th, I will start scheduling. And I'm happy to do a half-an-hour consult with anybody who wants to hear a little bit more about, what I would advise them, how PR can help their business, what I would say to them if they came to me as a client. And, right, just so you know, like, there are media opportunities for everybody. It doesn't matter who you are or what you do. And whatever want to hear, oh, not me. If anybody says, oh, yeah, but not me, yeah, give me a call. A challenge, I'll show you.
All right. So we'll make sure we put that link in the show notes for people to reach out to you, Tracy. Thank you so much. I think that is so, and it's so valuable, because people don't understand sometimes, but time is valuable and precious, and especially your time is very valuable and precious. So thank you.
Yours too.
Thank you on behalf of all the listeners and viewers of the show. Thank you so much, because
thank you so much, and thank you for everything you do, for this platform that you give to everybody and to all of us to listen to and learn from each other. And that's what it's all about, man.
It's my pleasure. I get to meet wonderful people like you, and now
stay in touch for sure. I want to join your.
Girl, I am calling you. You kidding? I need publicity. I'm calling you.
All right, let's do it.
Oh, thank you so much. The website, for people who want to know, it is lamouriemedia.com, and I'll put a link in the show notes so you can click on that. Also, for those resources that she was talking about pitching and getting getting your quotes and getting, as seen on, as heard on.
Exactly, gold.
That's
I
gold.
can give my phone number too. I have a Toronto one and also a Beverly Hills
give your
one.
Phone number?
Genuine. Wow. I do. People laugh. Genuine. My Beverly Hills number comes to me here in Toronto. I haven't been there in 14 months.
All right. You throw out whatever number you want.
Genuine. Every time I say it though, I always say, but I really, anyway, yeah. So Toronto 289-788-5881 or Beverly Hills 424-444-8052. Either way, it'll come through to me. They'll put it through to me, and we'll do a 30-minute consult.
Wait, so do that 424 again, because you said that fast. Say it slower.
424-444-8052.
That's 424-444-8052. Correct?
Number again is 424.
Your phone is going to be off the hook, so get ready. Okay,
all right.
I love you even more that you did that. Oh my God.
People are like, old technology. I'm like, yeah, we the phone. Let's do it.
Did we pick up the phone?
It'll probably go to text or voicemail first, and then I'll have to call you back, because it's unlikely that I'll be like, hi, because I'm super scheduled. But yeah, you'll get my message.
Tracy, thank you so much for your generosity
and your
thank you, Christine. Beautiful spirit. And if there's anything that I can do for you, please let me know.
I'll come bug you if I ever get to Australia.
Okay. All right. Well, before that, if there's anything I can do for you, please let me know. And I want to thank you, wonderful listeners and viewers on YouTube, for joining us this episode. If you want to learn more about me, you can go to ChristineBlasdale.com. I'll have a link in the show notes. And if you want more information about this podcast, go to outoftheboxwithchristine.com. Make sure you subscribe to this program wherever you get it. And if you really had a great time with this, and if you know of someone who could benefit from what Tracy, those nuggets of wisdom that she was dropping, make sure that you share the show as well. You can do that on your social media. Okay. Until next time, as I always say, remember to think outside of that damn box. Bye for now.